Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Business Breakthroughs. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your hosts, Andrew Honigsfeld and Michael Millay. Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, how are you?
How's
Good.
it going?
We're breaking through. We're breaking through in business. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
That's how we're going.
Yes, we are.
I'm a little amped from our green room time because we were talking about the power of choice, what choice is. I think this is, for those of you listening, it's a very empowering and deep conversation that will actually set you free if you sink your teeth into this. So, guys, give me some context for how we came up with this conversation. Where did this start?
Well, I know that even inside of this conversation, because it's such a big topic and just because it's such a fundamental aspect of how we operate as people, of how do we choose, I'm a little nervous even to go into this conversation. Well, because I don't know where it's going to go.
Right.
That's the beauty of it. Well, it's the beauty of it because it's we started off talking about oh, how do you choose a coach? How do you choose the right mentorship? Where does your money go? When do you spend however much money on that one marketing program that you hope is going to be the magic bullet and then it's not? Or how do you know that the person you're about to work with is the right person you're about to work with? Whether it's a hire, whether it's hiring a coach, whether it's hiring marketing, whether it's hiring a cold calling service or something to cold call people for you. Whatever it is how do you know you're making the right choice? And inside of that, we were talking about different stuff because I know a lesson that me and Andrew have been learning lately is how to actually be clear on what we need from our mentors and the people who give us advice and coach us. Because I'm going to tell everyone a secret. Please don't tell anyone else this. We're not perfect.
Yeah, right. What? Wait.
What?
I don't know if I can handle that. I'm sorry.
Once. No one else will ever hear me ever say that again. But
yeah,
right. And that's part of it is me and Andrew, even inside of our own business, we're too close to it to necessarily always make a good judgment on it because we're staring at it right here. And just like everyone else, when you're too close to it, you can't see the whole big picture. So that's why we go to people outside of ourselves to get advice. Right. And that's why you can look at marriage counseling or something. Right, it's great to have that third party opinion that is a little more objective inside of the situation.
So let's add into this conversation then the problem, some of the ways that this the ways we make decisions creates problems, right? I'll give you a couple and then you guys can riff on that. But I feel like people, having been in business for over 17 years, it can be very frustrating, soul-sucking to have made decision after decision and feel like it doesn't work. And then I start to question my own ability to make decisions. I'm like, dude, I've made decisions. I've hired coaches. I paid for the Facebook ads. I bought the internet leads. I did all this stuff. None of it worked. And now I'm starting to question my own confidence. My confidence is rocked because I can't even trust myself to make a decision because every time I've made a decision in the past, it hasn't gone the way
there's
I wanted
12 grand down the drain.
Right. That'll stop you cold in your tracks because you're like, I can't afford that risk again. And so now I'm not willing to choose in my life. I'm only going to sort of play really small and really safe because I can't bear the thought of completely wrecking my life is how it occurs in my head. Right.
Yeah. Well, and I know it's not just you that you're speaking to, but one of my questions is so how's that going for you? Right. Sucks. Are you having fun?
No, it's not fun.
Is this what you wanted to do? Because if you're going to play that small, right. What are you going for here? And look, some people do want to play it safe and for that, good on you.
But that's not this audience, right? Because we're talking about businesses and business break. Nobody gets into business for themselves.
Right.
Originally wanting to play small because we all had a big vision and a big dream.
Right. And that's where I was going is great, good on you. And I hope that you are not trying to start your own business. I hope that you are not trying to do something that is going to take you outside of yourself because you can't be small and have that business. Have have the finances you want, have
Right.
the life you want in any way, shape, or form, because you will only be trapped to what you already know, which, you know, it gets into arrested development. And it's like, cool. How old were you when you decided you could no longer grow? And do you want to be that age forever? So,
wow, that's good, man.
Yeah. And so, you know, going to like choice and like, how do you choose? It really is, you're not going to get it right every time. That's a big portion of it. If you expect perfection, like, all right, cool, then go back to being the small person that you were, or go back to being the person you were. You know, it doesn't even have to be a small person. I'm not going to put that on you. But what I'll say is, if you're making a new decision that you've never made before, even if it's just, do I want those pants?
Yeah.
It's a new decision. You might buy it and walk away and go, wow, no, I don't. But how do we, and the question that you're necessarily bringing up is like, how do you make better choices? How do you feel at least informed by your choices?
If we were to put this in the context of sort of like your ideal client, which is, you know, let's say a business person or real estate agent, somebody doing $150,000 a year or more in commissions, right? Who I would say at that level, they got there from hustle and grind. They got there from talent. And now they're at the space where they've filled out the suit they're wearing, and they either need to shed that suit and grow, reinvent themselves, expand, which is going to require a choice. At that point, you're going to have to start to choose. You could only exchange so many hours for dollars until you have no more time.
Right.
At some point, to buy time back, you've got to make a choice about how you bring leverage into your world.
Exactly.
That's what we're bumping up against, right?
No, exactly. That's one of the things that our clients are 100% bumping up against. And, you know, the decision to even take on a coach at that time, right? You know, you need to hire someone.
Yep.
But how do you possibly choose to then hire a coach as well? You know, is that where your money should go when you know that you need a person? Right. So, and I think that's really, I'll let Michael speak now, but I think that's really like kind of exactly where we're pointing at is how does that go better?
And like really when you're looking at where you're putting your money, that's really what it comes down to. And it goes back to the same thing we always point to, which is the self-knowledge and how valuable that is. I think about every time me and Andrew have wasted, let's just say X amount of dollars, because I don't want to think about the actual amount of dollars on the marketing magic bullet, on the whatever magic bullet that's going to solve this problem. So I never have to think about it ever again. And the same lessons kept on coming up. One, I didn't want to be responsible for that area. So I tried to avoid looking at it as much as possible. Two, there was a lot I didn't know inside of that area.
Right.
And so even before, if you don't know how to evaluate different coaches or different anything, you probably shouldn't buy from the first one you talk to. It's something I'm going to say. And like, whether it's us or anyone else, because like, look, for me, at least, I would hate to be working with someone who would actually be better served working with someone else.
Right.
Like that isn't of service to people.
Right.
And like, I know that I can make a difference, but if they end up talking to a different coach 2 months later and be like, darn, I wish I would have worked with you because you speak my language so much easier and I can understand you better, then I wish they would have talked to them before they hired us, you know? Like, and that's part of it is if you're going to look and you don't know what questions to ask, hey, what questions should I ask?
Right.
And then also don't buy on that first call, regardless. Like, I know I'm a huge fan. I really like money. I really like being paid money. But I would much rather get paid money by someone who's certain in their choice. And this actually goes back to like kind of the basis of choice is how do you actually have certainty?
That's it. Yeah. Right.
And for me, the way I view choice, at least, and this is a personal belief, not necessarily the truth by any means, but what empowers me. And I think, and Andrew can speak to his own version of this, but I look at, if I'm making a choice, a lot of the times people will ask me like, hey, do you want to do this? And as Andrew can attest, my first reaction is no. Just straight up no.
Right.
I don't want to. I don't like that, or whatever it is.
That applies to everything in his life.
Okay, yeah. And then where does it go?
Yeah, and like realistically, it's like, okay, do I want to go to Disneyland next week? No, I don't want to be around people. I don't want to like go run around, look at Mickey Mouse. Like I did enough of that when I was 7. Like I get some people love Disneyland. Not my thing.
Yeah.
But like if there's other stuff, like I might look at it. But when I'm given a choice and when I actually choose, it's because I've actually done the mental work to work out what it would take to fulfill on the obligation if I say yes. And actually be fully responsible for what I'm choosing. So like, if I'm going to invest in a program, okay, how much money am I going to put away? Where is that money coming from? Okay, how am I going to make it work? What do I need to get out of this program in order to make it work? What am I hoping to get out of this program? Is this program actually going to provide me what I need? Where am I stopped inside of these things? And this kind of...
By the way, do these questions sound familiar would be one of the things I would ask, because these are a lot of the same questions you're going to ask about a hire. When we talked about like figuring out who it is that you want to hire and what you want them to do, it's the same thing. What are you hoping to get from them? What kind of person do they need to be? What kind of, I mean, ever so slightly tweaked, but they're the same questions as who and what do you actually want around you? Because the fact of the matter is, having a perfect hire or hiring the perfect coach, they're not different. Or even choosing the perfect pair of pants, it's not different. What do
or the
want?
perfect spouse, or the perfect friends, or the right company to hang your license under.
Right. Yeah. It's all the same. It's all the same general. It's going to start with knowing yourself. Who are you? And knowing what you want. And if you don't know what you want from, you know, I'll use working with you, Chris, as like an example of like, we knew what we wanted from these videos. We knew that we wanted to be engaged with somebody who truly was interested.
Right.
And when we talked to you guys, you fulfilled our needs. I mean, there was a list of other things, but I'm not really going to go fully into it. But those were some of the things. Is I didn't want to do this with somebody who was going to say, all right, up next, we have the business coaches and let's go get this done. Nobody wants that.
Right.
So like, I knew what I was looking for. And then when we talked to you, it was like, that is what we are looking for. And that's what had us feel safe or comfortable investing with you, investing our time, our energy, our money, all of the things that go into it, because we knew what we were getting and we knew that lined up with what we wanted.
Right.
And
now,
also,
if we didn't know that, we would have had to get clear for ourselves before we could have ever made the decision to work with you.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going to be about whether your product was good or bad. It was going to be about us not knowing. And so I think that goes to what he's saying is like,
we would have no metric to measure your service against.
Right.
Whereas like we've done other marketing things where we've absolved. I know I've just kind of been like, cool, not our problem anymore. This person's going to be the magic bullet. And like with you, and this is actually just a great example, is like when we started talking to you originally, you're like, this isn't the magic bullet. This provides a foundational content for you to build your marketing on top of.
Right.
Which is, I'm like, oh, okay, that actually makes sense as something that's needed, since we have trouble generating content because there's so much stuff that we get a little bit into choice paralysis.
Yeah, I was going to say
analysis paralysis around.
Our trouble generating content is not from a lack of things to say; it's from having too many things to say.
Right. How do I choose?
Yeah, exactly.
We're back to the whole title.
And we're back to choice.
How do I choose? And I think part of what the pushback on it is then, okay, well, I know what I want. So I go through the questions, I answer the questions. I think about like, okay, I want more time back in my life. I think I want somebody to be in my team, or I need an assistant or something. So I know sort of what I want, but then I have the doubts that come. I think the pushback is then I don't choose powerfully because I'm stuck in fear.
And what I would say is that that really comes down to, you're going to get that anyways. Like to a certain degree, it's about making a choice and then marching down that path. And part of that is, do you have metrics? Do you have things that you like can say, hey, I'm on the right track, or hey, I'm not on the right track here. And that's the, that's really is like, 3 months in, how do you know that this was a good decision? Did you figure that out? Or did you just say, hey, I want a teammate and I know I want a coach. I need a new team member. I need a new coach. Great.
Ooh, yeah. I just thought of like part of, I think, choosing also that creates power in the choice is when you're clear about what the choice is in service of. So if you're clear that I'm hiring somebody in service of me having my time back, then it gives you the patience to stick it out if the first hire doesn't work, or all the bumps in the road. You're clear that this is in service of something. It's not a magic bullet, right?
Exactly.
Well,
and that's, I think, one of the things that I'm generally leery of in general. Wow, redundant much. I think what I'm leery of is when I talk to somebody and they're like, I'm a business coach. I solve every problem there is to solve as a business coach. What? Like, there is no magic bullet.
Yeah.
There's not one person who is the best at everything. And we talked about this in one of our other videos, but it's like Tony Robbins is really good at what Tony Robbins is really good at.
Right.
You don't go to Tony Robbins for non-Tony Robbins things.
Right.
And like, that's how it is for everybody. No matter if it's a coach, if it's an employee, there we go. That's the word. If it's a coach, if it's an employee, if it's a friend, if it's a spouse, if it's the next pair of pants, right? The fact of the matter is, there's not one pair of pants that you can wear for every occasion. It applies to everything.
Yeah. Andrew's tried to find that pair of pants.
I have. I'm very fixated on the fact that this doesn't work right now. I get it.
His girlfriend has informed him of that way too many times.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's sad. For instance, like wearing jeans and then trying to jump on a trampoline, not the best deal. I did it the other day. I don't recommend it. So, I just like what I want to get back to is like, how do you know is like, if somebody's speaking to the issue you have and the thing that the commitment, what are you committed to getting out of this? Right. And like you said, if somebody's committed to time freedom, somebody that can help you get more clients isn't time freedom.
Right.
And if somebody says, I help you get more clients, I help you with this, I help you with that, I help you with this. Fantastic. One of those things you're not good at.
Right.
And now that you've said you are, and you're the best at all of them, I don't know which one. If that happens, don't choose that person.
Right.
I also am going to say that like empowering people's choice is one of, I'm going to just say it this way, one of my superpowers inside of like the sales process, because it is a process no matter what you're in. And for me, when I get on a sales call with someone,
yeah, right,
and I put quotes around it because it really isn't necessarily a sales call. It's actually just trying to figure out what their needs are,
right,
and whether what we provide actually serves them or not.
Right.
And then at the end of that going, okay, cool. Here are the 5 or 6 different paths that I see for you to get to your goal.
Right.
And that's really all I do. I go, cool. So you want to be making X amount of money and working this amount. Okay. So on the trajectory you're on, you're going to spend 6 years building up to that revenue amount, and then running through about 10 different assistants before you find the right one. And then another however many years finding the right prospector, find right this, right that.
Yeah.
And like, because I've seen so many people do it over and over and over again. And you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Like, that's part of it, is that, like, I mean, even Gary Keller in MREA, great book for people who fit the perfect agent model, which I've not met a perfect agent, so great. But it's
a great guideline, and if you don't fall into that, then I wouldn't follow it.
Yeah. I would use it as a reference to compare your model to, be like, oh, am I actually creating it as a model with purposeful growth, or am I just being haphazard in my growth?
Right.
And inside of all of that, it's like, I get people really clear on what they want and then what's stopping them. And if their needs are that they need more time, or they are just so busy running in and out of closing escrows, generating clients, they're getting everything thrown their way and they're working 12 hours a day and everything. Yeah. Like, oh, okay, so you mean the exact problem we solve. Cool, let's help you, because it's going to take this time frame to get you from point A to point B if you work with us, because we've done it before. Right. And they're like, how come that time frame sounds so much less and so much easier than all those other ones? And I go, because we know what we're doing. Like, they're like, I should give you money, huh? And I go, yes. And that's like literally how I do sales. Andrew used to get so annoyed with it. He's like, no.
I can't be on the sales call with him.
It's like, no, that's not how sales should work. But it's like, it's inside of like my own style of empowering people to choose. And the people who choose actually fully commit to it. And that's something I'm more concerned about, is actually having people fully committed to the process than necessarily having everyone and having it not be the right fit and anything else. Because
nobody has a good time if it's not a good fit. And I think, it all goes back to like one of the things you asked is like, how do you choose? And part of it is we can have our sales process. I like the quotes for it, so I'll use it. If we can have our sales process is just about choice. The reason why it's just about choice is because we're very clear on our value.
Right.
And, just like when you go to hire somebody, anyone, or, become friends with somebody or any of that, right? If you don't know what you want, if you don't know where you stand, you have no idea if that other person stands where you need them to stand.
I hear three things in this, guys. If I were going to try to summarize this conversation of how to choose,
because
the first thing I hear in how to choose is it takes self-awareness. You have to understand what you're choosing. What is what you're choosing in service of, whether you're choosing a coach to hire or you're choosing an assistant to hire. What is the choice in service of? And that will help you have confidence or feel empowered about the choice.
Exactly.
Which leads me to the second piece I hear, which is how you choose should come from a place of empowerment, not from a place of hoping, guessing, shot in the dark. And I think a lot of people are making decisions in life from that place of like, God, I hope this works. From fear, right? Like, I mean, I don't know. Somebody said I should do it, so I guess I'll do it. There's no empowerment in the decision or the choice. And so people, when it doesn't work, people have a nice file cabinet of evidence of all the times they made decisions that didn't work, but they were never empowered, so they never saw it through.
Right.
That's the second thing. And then the third thing I hear is that there are times when you're too close to the project to think through the choice. You're like, I don't know what to choose, and so you need perspective to get above it so that you could make an empowered choice. And sometimes that only happens with others, in collaboration with other people, which is why, by the way, you hire coaches like yourselves, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, that's brilliant. Sorry. I had something to add, and then I realized, nope, just covered all of it.
I'm just summarizing what you guys said. I think that's, if I had to like sort of bullet point the episode, I think like that's kind of what it comes down to. whether it's about your money or about your leverage, your hiring, what the next things you're going to do for growth and lead generation, whatever it is, like those three things are a piece of it.
Right.
Right. So,
and, you know, and the last thing is, you know, is the action. You know, the one thing that we didn't cover is
it's good.
You can't choose if you don't act on it.
Right.
You know, so I mean, I'm talking with someone earlier today and we're talking about how he knows he needs to do more marketing. He knows where and how and everything he wants to do.
Right.
And he has known this for quite some time. Has he done it? No.
Yeah, that's convicting right there.
And so it's important to like, you can know all of this stuff so that you have the perfect choice, right? And I put that in quotes because there's no perfect choice, but you can know what your perfect choice looks like. But if you say, I need a coach or I need that outside perspective or I want more free time, and you know that, if you get on the phone with us just to confirm that you know that, you're not going to have any difference happen in your life.
Right.
And guess what? That's also a choice, but it's not informed.
Yeah.
Because it's a choice based on fear and not the actual, the empowerment that we talked about. Right. So, you know,
and I'm just to speak to that really quick. It's like when we talk about empowering choice, a lot of the times when I present the options to potential clients, they get really scared. And I'm going to say some people might feel like a lot of the times people, and especially salespeople, will then pressure. And really, it's not about the pressure. It's about how do people take action. And for me, I look at that and it's not about pressuring the person to take an action. It's actually about just being clear on what's choosing, whether you're having the fear choosing, whether you're having your informed opinion choosing, whether you're having in some unconscious thing running in the background choosing for you.
Right.
But who's choosing? And frankly, like if it's fear or some other unconscious thing, this is just how I coach in general. And I then kind of just start coaching the person. I'm like, cool. So that's some fear right there. Hi, we're friends now. You don't have to be afraid. Like, and I help people actually go through whatever their fear is and get to the other side of it so that they themselves, not their unconscious, not their emotions, not their anything else, can actually be empowered to choose themselves, not their past, as they said, the last bad investment, whatever it is. And sometimes they still say no. And frankly, if it's them actually choosing no, I'm like, cool, that's great. Like you actually got that you're not willing to take it on at the level that it would need to be taken on at, or you don't want to. And that's okay. As long as it's not, oh my God, I'm so scared that I'm going to, and I'm going to sit on it for 6 months and nothing's going to change. And I'm going to come back to you 12 months later and then still be paralyzed and not make a choice again.
Well, and there's a quote that goes along with that, and I'm not going to get it quite right, but it's basically both sides of the fence are comfortable. The only place it hurts to sit is on top. So don't sit on the fence post and straddle and say, God, well, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I? If it sounds like you should, do it. If it sounds like you shouldn't, don't. And if you're not clear, then go back to the 3 points that Chris brought up or Chris restated for you, because something in there is missing. And then start the process over.
I feel like I always love our talks because it goes way past hiring, right? It goes way past. We're talking about how do you actually live an effective life. I think a lot of people want to. One of the things that plagued me for years in business was it just didn't feel successful, right? Even if you looked at metrics and people be like, "Oh, well, you're successful," I internally did not feel successful because what I wanted was to be able to call my shot. I wanted to Babe Ruth it and be like, I'm going to hit this one out of the park. And I wanted to be able to produce the result I saw in my mind to produce. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like people, when it comes to choosing, this is why self-awareness and then feeling empowered in the choice and then having perspective, why it's so important. Because if you don't have that, then what happens is you live your life taking a stab in the dark at things, and you never feel like you produced the result that was in your head to produce. You don't know if you could reproduce the result because you don't know how you got the result, right? So ultimately what we're talking about here, gang, is just, I feel like we're talking about when you make a decision from a place of empowerment and you're willing to go the distance with the decision, what you actually end up creating is an empowered confidence in you that gives you the tools to move through life, not just make the next good hire.
Certainty and knowledge.
Yeah, certainty. Certainty is it. Like, that is currency. For I think more people in life want to feel certain, and we don't, because the way we're making decisions don't come from the way we're talking about it today.
Exactly. So,
and you don't want to be responsible for the decisions. So when you're not going to be responsible for your decisions, then it's always about blaming something else outside of you and second guessing it.
Right.
And there's no certainty in that because because it wasn't you.
You're not having ownership.
You're abdicating responsibility, hoping something else solves it for you. And there's no certainty when something else is the procuring cause of your success.
And the only reason I can speak to that is because of how many times I've absolved myself of responsibility. Andrew can attest to this.
Me too.
Like,
yeah,
and it was really painful to learn over and over. I'm a slow learner sometimes, so.
Yeah, well, and I was just going to say, just going at abdication, we talked about this in a previous episode, but once you then hire somebody, if you make the choice to hire somebody because you've decided you don't want to do these things, you've decided you want somebody else to do it again, you can't abdicate those responsibilities. You are still the business owner. Delegation requires following up and being ultimately responsible for the results that are produced by the person that you've hired. So, yeah, like at no point when you're living a powerful or an empowered life, however you choose to say it, do you get to abdicate anything.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, you get, and not in like some scary, terrifying way, but you're responsible for everything. Did you put yourself there? And we had an episode on that as well, but so I won't go back into it. If you want to see it, go find it. But, but that's really what it comes down to. And that's how you have you don't call your shot, that Babe Ruth moment.
Yeah.
That only happened because he knew what he wanted and he knew he was going to take the action to fulfill on it and be responsible for whatever happens from there on out.
Yeah.
That's how you get your Babe Ruth moment. That's how you call your shot. And that's how you hit the home run you've wanted your whole life.
Beautiful. That's a perfect place to end, guys. Can we, if people want to reach out to you, listen, this is it, guys. You listening to this, guys, like when you're ready to take action, you want perspective. And I think what Andrew and Michael offer in perspective is, as you can tell, unique and different than I've been in the coaching industry forever. And it's just different. Where you guys come from is different in how you guide people. So if people want to reach out to you, have a conversation to see if there's a fit in some way that you can help them make the next set of choices that will take their business and life to the next level, where can people go?
Go for it, Michael.
They can go to www.myperfecthire.com.
Perfect. Got it. myperfecthire.com. Okay, guys. So go to myperfecthire.com. You guys can click on the contact button there and connect with Michael and Andrew there. Guys, great stuff. It's always great. We're always find new things, new rocks to turn over and look under. I love that we get to talk about just the things that people deal with in their everyday life and always find truth under the rocks we turn over. So thanks for always bringing that. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you, Chris.
It's a
pleasure as always.
Thank you.